And now this is a real serious point we want to bring in and what's gone on in the last few days since it's happened about him losing the vote.
And it's not being reported very much at all. And it's basically a killing spree, isn't it? Maybe we can watch a video and then discuss it.
We're in the middle of what one death row inmate called a federal killing spree in an article for The Nation. 2 black men, Brandon Bernard and Alfred Bourgeois, were executed in the last 2 days by the federal government. Their killings were the 9th and 10th federal executions since July, after a 17-year hiatus, and the first in 130 years to occur during a presidential lame duck period. And there are still 3 more executions scheduled to occur before Donald Trump leaves office. Joining me now is Wes Lowery, a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and a reporter for CBS News. Wes, I'm so excited and thankful to you for joining me on my inaugural show. You know I'm such a longtime fan of your work, and you've done a lot of stories with criminal justice and even the death penalty at the center in your time at the Post and other places that you've been. I wonder if you will talk a bit about this increased use of the death penalty and link it to some of the historical racial disparities we've seen in this country.
What we're seeing, we're in the midst of a series of executions here that really, in a lot of ways, turn the clock back. That this is behavior from the federal government that's something we haven't seen in decades. We have been on a track now going back through much of our recent history in which there has been new constriction of the use of the death penalty, a broad understanding and consensus across our politics that too often we get it wrong, that there are innocent people who are convicted, there are innocent people who've been locked up, and that we do not want to take the chance of killing the wrong person. There's been a shift in public sentiment over the years that would make us more cautious and less likely to employ something like the death penalty. But what we're seeing now in the final days of the Trump administration is a show of force, a show of power, this decision to kind of execute a wave of people, to kill a wave of people purely just because the president can and the Justice Department can't. Right, that there was not a particular rush in any of these cases, as in most death penalty cases. These are cases that have stretched on for years, for decades in some cases. Yet the president himself likes to be seen as a strong leader, as an authoritarian type. He wanted to do these. The Justice Department agreed with him. And so what we're seeing is the biggest wave of executions, in part so that the president can claim he was as tough as any president of our time as it relates to, so-called violent criminals.
And it's interesting to see this on the heels of him making these performative efforts to reach black voters, which, didn't go his way. So now he doesn't feel a need to do this kind of performative outreach, I suppose. I should note, though, that I think is really important that the death penalty being imposed is often by state governments. So the fact that the federal government is imposing this is quite bizarre, I think. Because public support for the death penalty has waned so much, what will it take to outlaw the death penalty?
So we've seen in a number of cases in many states, new state laws that have gotten rid of or abolished the death penalty, voters going to the ballot boxes in various places and saying our state should not do this. What we also see in many other cases is even states that do not have laws in the books outlawing the death penalty or getting rid of its usage, governors and legislatures and politics of the states where they basically say, all right, we're not going to do this, right? This is not who we are, and this is not what we are. In practicality, we're not going to execute. What we know is that just a handful of states commit most of the execution in the United States of America, and that has always been true, that the majority of executions occur in southern states, and we'll get into the history as to why in a minute. And in many ways, this has kind of been sitting at the court level for a long time, where the disagreements between laws from one state to the other and the difficulty that increases. In many cases, states have difficulty getting a hold of the cocktail for the drugs used to execute people. Right. This has begging for some level of Supreme Court intervention for a long time, right? Because again, the role of the Supreme Court very often is to mediate these types of policy disagreements between states as to what is true and what is not. And so what we imagine is that eventually this is probably something that is taken up by the High Court.
Yes, that sounds right.
I just find it chilling because there has to be a reason why he's embarked on this. And normally you can understand the grift with the election fraud. He's trying to raise some money before he leaves. You can understand the tax cut. He was doing that for his mates. You can understand the kids in cages because he wanted to clamp down on immigrants because he's a bit racist. What is he doing here?
I personally think he's appealing to a certain part of his crowd who are racist.
Yeah, I mean, he's to what you think? I don't know off top of my head. I know a lot of these are black. There's 8 people due for execution. I can't say they're all black, but the 2 that have already been executed since the story broke are black.
He's appealing to his fan base, isn't it? Simple as that.
So you think that he actually wants to kill some black people on the way out the door?
You can trust me. KKK.
Yeah, good people on both sides.
Thank you for watching. I'm impressed. You've passed the IQ test and got this far, so let's press that button to do the last thing that helps us. It's got subscribe on it, you can't miss it, and please ring the bell for notifications of future videos.